Welcome guys, Mel here from Mel's Motors. Right behind me, Porsche 968. It's right hand drive, only about 1,000 of these made for the UK market. Only sold for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Very similar to a 944, but this is the 3 litre version. The engine was specifically made for this car. As you heard, it's a very noisy engine. So our job for today is try and see if we can find the problem, see what's causing this noise, and see if we can resolve the problem. Now, this particular engine has got 2 balance shafts. There's one here which is reasonably accessible. Inlet manifolds are going to have to come off. The shaft is bolted in from the side. The lower one is a bit more difficult to get to. This is a cam belt driven engine, but it also has a belt which also runs the balance shafts. Now, most 4-cylinder cars don't have balance shafts. It's only there to iron out the secondary imbalance within the engine, but most cars happily run without it. My job for today is get the cam cover off. I'm going to time the engine up, time up the balance shafts. I'm going to take the balance shaft belt off, reassemble a few bits so I can get it going because the distributor's here, and I'm just going to see if the noise disappears with that belt off. If it does, then we know what the issue is. I'll talk to the customer and then we'll see where he wants to go from here. Being the car that it is, it's 30 years old, it's going to be difficult or maybe slow to get some bits for it, so we'll see what we can do for him. Right, first thing I'm going to do is get the airbox off, gain access to the front cover, and we'll get the alternator belt off. I'm pretty sure for these, it's been a long time since I worked on one of these, you don't have to take the bottom pulley off to get the belt off, so it should be reasonably easy. Okay, got the car up in the air, just got the under tray off and gained some access to the bits we need to. This is the adjustment bar for the power steering, adjustment bar for the alternator, so we'll undo those. We'll get these 2 belts off. This is the second balance shaft here, and it just bolts to the side of the engine, a little bit lower, a bit tight to get to. Steering rack's in the way, just there. Right, first thing, let's get these belts off, let's get the timing cover off so we can gain access to that belt. Okay, so now we can see the engine timing belt here, which is a one-sided tooth belt, and if we have a look at the balance shaft belt, it's a double-sided tooth belt. It's just actually really loose as well. So this is what I'm interested in, but we need to time the engine up, give these balance shafts a reference mark so we know where they are, and then we'll take the belt off. Now to set the timing up on these, the cam pulley has a little mark there, it's a bit difficult to see, and that lines up with this notch up here. So once this is timed up, we know that the crank's timed up, the engine was running, so we know that the crank's going to be in the right place. On the back of the gearboxes on these, there's the little sight hole that says OT, and you can line those up with a line in there, and that'll give you top dead centre. My main concern isn't doing a cam belt change on this right now. It's something it's going to need. There's a serious oil leak down there somewhere, so there's partial contamination in this belt anyway. It's been about 4 years, maybe 5 years since the belt was done, not by us, by a previous garage. So getting the belts done is probably a must for these. There is no real time for changing the belts on these. There's about 30,000 miles between intervals. But being the older style car with the thinner belts, it's a good idea to change them more frequently than what the engine would cost if they failed. Right, so first thing is time this up and then we'll get the belt off. Okay, so now I've put some reference marks so you can see that's where the groove was in the upper pulley, and the mark where it lines up with. I've given myself some reference marks down there and down there for the crank, and some below for the lower balance shaft. I've just noticed lower down there, it's difficult to see, but once I get the belt off, I'm going to show you that some of those teeth are missing. So here's our belt. You can see they're double-sided, double-teethed. This side, it's missing most of the teeth. No teeth and then teeth. Got a few missing here as well. Look. I've just spun these balance shafts and I can't feel any anomalies in there or anything out the ordinary. I've got a feeling the chattering noise was, as every time this belt was going around, it was catching the teeth, and as it was catching the teeth on here, it was making a horrendous chattering sound. So I'm just going to put the distributor cap back on, so I'm going to put this bracket back on here, put the distributor cap back on, start it off up without the belts on there, and see if that noise disappears. Oh, that's definitely a lot quieter. I'm pretty sure that noise was this belt catching the gears every time it went round. Okay, I know I said this wasn't going to be a cam belt job, but it's definitely a cam belt job now. So I've got it back in time now. I've used a Tipex mark to mark exactly where we need to be. I have checked at the back of the engine that there's a sight hole. You can see where the timer mark is, so I know it's lined up. I'd rather have the reference at the front here because I can see a lot better. Got the pulley off. There's a little tool I made, a chain tool for holding the pulley. I did a shorts on that. If you look at my videos, you'll see that one being made. These are the belts. So there's the cam belts. I couldn't get any idlers and tensioners for that, so I'm just hoping these are going to be okay because they were only done 4 or 5 years ago. So we've got the tensioner there as our idler at the top. I'll spin those if they're noisy or gritty. I'll pop the caps off and put some grease in those, get those happy again. I know I Tipex these earlier on the outside, but there is a mark, and if you can just see that, there's a mark on the back, there's a little notch that lines up with a notch in the plastic. So just there. Originally when I marked it, I hadn't realised that we'd lost all the teeth off the belt, so they were out of time, but they're back in time now. Double tooth belt for the balance shafts. I've got 2 gears for that, that's not a problem. I'm going to put an alternator belt on and a power steering belt. It's the pulley I removed. Had to remove that in the end because we've got so many broken teeth down there, rubber teeth. Thankfully it's all dropped underneath this plate. I've just undone the 2 terminal bolts to take the plate off, but there's 2 Allen keys as well. So I'll get that off. I'll clean the bottom. There's a very slight oil leak. I'll just get my torch down there. There's a very slight oil leak down there. Not exactly sure where it's coming from, but it's pooling at the back. So I'm going to clean all that up as well once we got the belt off, and do any remedial cleaning before anything goes back together. Okay, so I've got the guide out. It's here. The plate, you can see it's covered in oil. See all the bits of broken teeth all down there. So you can see where the pool of oil is at the back there. Some more belt there. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. It looks very moist around this this balance shaft, but I'm not sure if that's caused it. So I need to clean that down there. We need some brake cleaner to clean all that. When I use the brake cleaner, this white's probably going to come off, so I've just used an automatic centre punch to put a little dimple on the end here, so I know where the mark was. This was really stiff to get out. I had to use a pry bar in the end to pull that out. We'll probably have to clean where was it? This up a bit to get the shaft back in. Okay, so I've got this all reasonably clean. To be fair, I couldn't tell where that oil was coming from. I've cleaned it, we'll have to monitor it. All good. Checked these bearings and they're absolutely knackered. So this gear, managed to get one, took a few days, and this idler, it's difficult to tell, but it's all cracked around the back, and we managed to get a replacement one of that as well. So full kit. We just have to swap that this gear over to this plate, and then that'll go back together. Right, so this is the hydraulic tensioner. So I've got it in the vise. We need to clamp it back in and, well, wind it back in. It's a hydraulic tensioner. It's got hydraulic and a spring in there. Now when you're winding these back, the faster you wind it, the more this fights back. So you have to go gently and it will go back slowly, and then just put a pin in it all the way through like this. Lock it up, and then you can stick it back on the car. Okay, everything is clean and ready to go back on. So we've got the cam belt, the new idler, the hydraulic tensioner, cleaned it up on the wire wheel, now it's come up nice and pinned. These chrome guides have come up clean, and we've got the new roll, the toothed idler one as well for the cam belt. Two new idlers, new belts, alternator belt and power steering belts. This was quite greasy as well, so I've cleaned this up too, so that's ready to go on. The pin for the guide that was seized on, that's back in now, clean and greased, so hopefully that will slide back on properly and that'll be all good. We just need to put it back together now. Engine's all timed up, balance shaft belt is on now. It was a real handsy job, so you couldn't really see me doing much, so I've left that part of the video out. Turned the engine over twice. The bottom balance shaft was out by a tooth, that's been corrected now. All the nuts and bolts are now torqued up. Crank pulleys on, that's torqued up as well. So next thing to do is I'm just going to put the distributor cap back on with the plate. This plate. Then I'll put that back on so we can just quickly start it with everything off. I want to make sure that everything looks okay in there. Now I've pulled a pin out of the hydraulic tensioner. It will automatically tension the belt to the right tension here, and the balance shaft belt is done by feel, or just a quarter of a turn, the old ways, old school way. So you just turn it 90 degrees, and that's roughly where you need to be. Okay, so I'm going to put this back together, give it a quick start, and see what it sounds like. Well, that definitely sounds a lot quieter. Okay, alternator belts on, power steering belts on, everything is back apart from the airbox. I've got a little bit of housekeeping to do here. As you can see, we've had a nest in here, so I'm going to hoover all that up, get that clean, and then start putting the airbox in and the bits of panel. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video of this Porsche 968. It's not a car you see every day, well not anymore. I said this was a limited run car for the UK market. It's still on the road, customers had it almost since new, he's had it for about 30 years. It's pride and joy, he still drives it every day. The noise at the beginning sounded horrendous, sounded like it was going to be something really major, but just that turned out to be a cam belt. So as always, if you like these videos, please hit the like button, subscribe button and bell notifications to be notified next time I upload a video. Take care guys, see you soon.